So, take a look at the Speaking Part 2 task card. It says, describe a type of food you would like to try. You should say what the type of food is, how you know about this food, where you would try this food, and explain why you would like to try it. The simple trick is to talk about what you think other people may think about the topic. At E2, we call this technique reflecting globally. Here's another task card. It says, describe a television program that you watched as a child. You should say what it is called and what it is about, who the main characters are, what you liked about the show, and explain why you remember it so well. Task card. Describe a sport that you would like to try in the future. You should say what it is, where you would do it, whether it is easy or difficult, and explain why you would like to try it. I'm going to give Okay, so to reflect globally, you can talk about what other people think of the sport. Is it popular? Would other people like to try it? So look here at the Writing Task 2 band descriptors. Under Task Response, it says for Band 9, you need to show that a clear and fully developed position is presented which directly answers the questions. Asked, to what extent do you agree or disagree? So make sure to give your opinion. Do you agree or disagree with the statement? Or you may be asked, what are the advantages and disadvantages of this? So for this prompt, you need to explain both the advantages and the disadvantages. For this one, you can write one paragraph about the advantages and one paragraph about the disadvantages. You may be asked to discuss both views, so make sure you don't just cover one. You may be asked to discuss both views and give your opinion, so don't forget to give your own opinion too. You may also be asked to discuss the problems and solutions, so be sure to discuss both. Finally, it says, it is predicted that robots are going to become increasingly important to our lives. How could robots be used in the future? Will this be a positive or negative development? So for this prompt, you need to include some ideas, how robots could be used in the future, and choose if this will be either a positive or negative development. Okay, so we can see here the writer has an introduction, 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Good structure. And here we can see in the introduction that the writer has written, this essay will outline some possible uses of robots in the future and explain why this development will be a positive one for humanity. Great. First question in the prompt. How could robots be used in the future? Has the writer included this in their essay? Yes. In the first paragraph, the writer gives an example of dangerous jobs in healthcare. The writer continues to expand on this in paragraph 1 and 2. And has the writer explained why the development will be positive for humanity as they indicated? Yes. In this paragraph, they address that second question. To be aware of each question type in the reading section, because there are some that you may not be familiar with or know exactly what you need to do. In particular, there's true, false, not given, and yes, no, not given questions. As we know, because we practiced these before, yes, no, not given questions are based on opinions and views of the writer or of people mentioned in the text. And true, false, not given are based on factual information in the text. In both, you decide if the statement matches with the text or disagrees with the text. But what about not given? Well, in that case, it means there isn't enough information about that statement in the text to decide if it's true or false, or yes or no. And this is the tricky part. Not given doesn't mean that there's no information about this in the text. There may be some information that relates to the statement, but there's just not quite enough information to confirm if it's true or not. Okay, here's a yes, no, not given question. The question asks, do the following statements agree with the claims of the writer? Choose yes if the statement agrees with the claims of the writer. Choose no if the statement contradicts the claims of the writer. Choose not given if it is impossible to say what the writer thinks about this. The statements are, number 1, soy generates comparatively small amounts of greenhouse gas emissions. Number 2, the Amazon rainforest is being destroyed for soy milk production. And number 3, consumers should avoid buying soy milk produced in Brazil. Please pause. Okay, here are the answers. For question 1, the answer is yes. Here in the text it says, in terms of its environmental impact, in contrast to cow and almond milk, soy uses very little water, and according to Dr. Karim, its land use and greenhouse gas emissions are negligible. This reflects the claim of the writer. For question 2, the answer is no. Here we can see in the text, the problem with soy milk is its popularity not as milk, but as a feed for livestock. It turns out that large parts of the Amazon rainforest are being cleared to grow soybeans, and this contradicts the statement. And finally, question 3, the answer is not given. Did you manage to get that right? The text does give information about soy milk produced in Brazil, so you may think the answer is yes. But there's nothing in the text that states what the writer thinks about this. Instructions say, do the statements agree with the information given in the passage? Choose false if the statement contradicts the information, or choose not given if there is no information on this. So okay, answer time. For question 4, the answer is not given. There is information about dairy milk in the passage, but there's no information in the text about its sugar content. So don't be tricked into thinking it's true just because you can see similar words in the passage. And for question 5, the answer is true. The text says, and while it might be slightly higher in saturated fats than plant-based milks, there is always the option to buy low-fat milk. This information agrees with the statement. Here's an IELTS listening multiple choice question with multiple answers. We can see the instructions, choose 2 letters A to E, the question, which 2 feelings did Liam experience during the exchange, and the answer options. Now, tone is really important in this type of question because you're unlikely to hear the speaker directly state, I felt nervous, or I felt embarrassed, or I felt confused. Instead, you'll need to work out how they felt based on other things they say and the tone they use. Remember this excerpt of the audio and specifically listen out for Liam's tone. You'll also be able to see the transcript. See if you can work out the answers.
You will hear 2 students called Liam and Jenny discussing a French exchange program they took part in.
So, Jenny, we need to put together our presentation about our French exchange trip.
Yeah, it was certainly an interesting semester. Studying French abroad at the University of Liège was quite a different experience to studying French here.
Absolutely. I think we can share lots of insights in our presentation to help other students work out whether the exchange program is right for them.
So, Liam, what information do you think we should include?
Well, I don't think we need to go into too much detail about the institution itself, because it won't be relevant to students who go to study at other universities.
Oh, that's a good point. I was thinking about including some visuals to show where the university was located in the town, so people could see how far away it was from where we were staying and so on. But you're right, that wouldn't be useful for everyone.
I think featuring some visuals is a great idea, though. It would make the presentation much more engaging.
And it would allow us to showcase some highlights of our trip, like attending the Bastille Day celebrations.
And our weekend skiing in the Pyrenees, all that incredible scenery. I think people would like to see that.
Agreed. Do you think we should show some things on campus too, like the lectures and tutorials?
Good idea. We could even display our weekly schedule to give others an idea of what it entailed. What do you think?
Sounds good. I'd also really like to include some details about the families we stayed with too. They really helped to make the exchange such a fantastic experience for us, and it would be a fitting way to show our appreciation to them.
Remember, they won't get to see this presentation though. Maybe we can thank them in some other way.
I suppose so.
So, while we're giving the presentation, we can share our overall impressions and views on the exchange.
Of course.
What's your memory of what it was like on our first day?
Oh, I remember being a bag of nerves. It was really daunting. But you seemed surprisingly calm.
I think I was. I always got excellent grades for my French here, so I was confident I could cope in France. But then we got into the first lecture, and it was like, what's happening? Why can't I understand anything?
The lecturers all spoke so quickly, and the other students' accents were really difficult to understand.
But we didn't give up, and we improved massively. In the end, I thought, well done, us.
Yeah, I feel like we sound more like native speakers now, and I don't think we would have achieved that in such a short time over here.
Did you get both answers? So the first answer is C, confusion. We can hear it when Liam says this.
But then we got into the first lecture, and it was like, what's happening? Why can't I understand anything?
So as you could hear and see, he's confused. He doesn't clearly state that he's confused, but we can tell through his tone and language. The other answer was D, pride. We heard it here.
But we didn't give up, and we improved massively. In the end, I thought, well done, us.
This is pride. Liam is proud of what he and Jenny accomplished during their exchange, which includes practice tests, mock tests, live classes, tutorials, and more.